Greetings, I'm Mark with Unlimited Story, unlimited-story.com, a channel dedicated to writing, world building, marketing, and most importantly, getting things done. If you want to support this channel and the things that I do, hey, just search Unlimited Story on Kindle and Kindle Vella. Just, read until, you can't read anymore. Anyway, in this video, I'm going to be covering, what do I got going on here? Sins of the Father by Sam Kench. And here's the description. A Western epic set in 1800s Oregon country. The peaceful son of the most wanted man in Oregon country is forced to hunt down his outlaw father. An immigrant mother goes on the lam after killing in self-defense, and a homeless orphan seeks revenge against corrupt government officials. What are our tags here? Western, revenge, Wild West, epic, adventure, action, and suspense. What do we got over here? What's our graphic? That is, I don't know. I mean, I can tell what it is. Kind of gives me a little bit of the color theme from what is it, Red Dead Redemption. I've never played that game, but that's kind of the feel I'm getting from it. So let's see what this is all about. I have just finished reading Sins of the Father, at least the first three, and got to say it's pretty interesting. I actually really like what happens in this story content-wise. Like, the layout's really interesting, though it has breaks in the chapter that I don't quite understand, and I'll be getting into just a bit. So it's Western. I gotta say it's pretty gritty, people getting shot up, which is what I basically expect out of every Western ever. So what is going on in this story? There is J.K. Babbitt, which, I'll just start out by saying, when you call somebody J.K., I just automatically assume it's that internet acronym. Just kidding. So it just kind of ruins a little bit of immersion for me. Just something I'm throwing out there. So anyway, there's J.K. Babbitt, and then there's H.H. Babbitt. Then there's H.A. Babbitt's wife, Susan, and then their little daughter, who I keep thinking her name is Eiling. I mean, that may be pronounced correctly, but it looks like Eiling, like as if I was in a grocery store. So anyway, those are your key characters, at least so far. Now, J.K., it starts out with the first chapter starts out with J.K. and then a bunch of sheriffs and deputies. Actually, one sheriff, two deputies, and clearly you can tell because I don't remember their names or even care about them, they totally die. Yeah, so J.K. is supposed to be just this hardcore, super dark criminal, really mean guy, no redeeming quality kind of stuff person. Okay, so basically, I really like this setup for episode 1. Okay, like it basically tells me this is what the story is going to be about. Okay, so episode 1, he just goes into town, finds a wanted poster of himself, kills a bunch of people, and he's like, hey, make sure my bounty goes up, which I don't really understand, because if you were wanted, do you really want people chasing you? Do you really want it? But maybe he does. Maybe he's just psycho and he wants to die for somebody else to get super rich. I don't quite understand it, but that's kind of what's happening. So either way, he has a bunch of odd qualities, and there's also stuff that just doesn't make sense to me. So now, I don't know what it was like in the Wild West. None of the people who are alive today know for sure. From Westerns and I guess maybe historians, we can say that there's some type of gun honor or whatever. But I'll tell you right now, if I was a sheriff or a deputy and I had a chance to take this guy down without him noticing, I would definitely be shooting that guy. Like, I don't care what honor is or anything like that. So they had like this shootout kind of thing where like there's a deputy, like in my mind, there's a deputy on each one of the sides and the sheriff right in the middle. And like he just talks him out of basically going 3-on-1 to a 2-on-1. And then he just pulls out his gun and blows him away in the head. Like to me, I just was like, this really happens? Because I don't feel like it happens. I mean, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't let that happen to me. But, these are today's rules and things are different to different types of people. Anyway, that was basically episode number 1. So episode number 2 moves into some other characters. Oh, yeah, there's Lilith. She tries to steal bread. H.H. does not like children being abused, so he kind of steps in. I shouldn't say she's being abused. I mean, it depends on the standards in which you qualify as being abused. But basically, back in those days, if you stole something, there was pretty serious ramifications. So the guy, the bread owner, was like, I don't know if he was gonna spank her or give her a switch or whatever it was, but basically, H.H. steps in and is like, take her to the sheriff. So I guess that's the nicer thing to do. I don't really know what the difference is, what the sheriff in town is going to do, whatever. So there's HH, his wife, his daughter. They're walking around town. They basically keep moving because they either get discovered that they're that HH is the child of JK. So this is actually kind of another thing that broke my immersion. If you knew this, why weren't you saying an alternative last name all this time? They actually kind of mentioned this a little bit with the daughter, that she almost says their last name, but they go by Marshall now, or that's why they're going by in this new town. So they've been traveling around with their cool donkey. I don't remember his name, but he eats a lot of apples. And they meet up with this mayor. So another thing that's really interesting about how this author writes, and there's nothing wrong with this, might I add. It's everyone can write however they please. He actually just straight up, here's your character, here's your description, right? And to me, it's nice and efficient, right? Okay, hey, here's your mayor, here's his qualities, okay? Here's your mayor's son, here's his qualities. Therefore, there's really no question. You should have a pretty clear picture, and then you don't have to kind of like sprinkle it in. So that, of course, is up to anyone, or that is up to your preference. To me, it's a very efficient tactic. I personally don't do it, but it is nice, and depending on the type of reader you are, that may work great for you. So anyway, HH, wife, child, they meet the mayor. They're just walking around town. I guess the mayor just strolls around town, and he's like, "Hey, there's a settler over there. Let me take you on a tour." So he takes them on a tour, and it's not really a tour because he really just takes them over to the house, and he's like, "Hey, you guys need a house? Here's one. I'm going to give you two for your deal." And the deal is basically, hey, this is where the sheriff used to live before he got his head blown open, and this is his place now. You want it? He died in this house, so there's still some blood all over the place, but it's fully furnished and a bunch of other stuff. So they're discussing it. Basically, HH and his wife was like, "Hey, so your dad was here, he killed a bunch of people, and now we can get this house on a deal. So you want to do it or not?" So, and that's how episode number 3 ends. So I will say, the way these, at least episode 2 and 3 ended, I just thought they kind of seemed like odd places to end, especially number 3, because number 3 you're trying to transition people into purchasing stuff for episode number 4, and episode 3 just ends with them just hanging out on the couch, just being like, maybe we'll buy this, maybe we won't. To me, there's no heightened tension. So just something that I look at, but that's me, and people can write however the heck they want. So did I like it? Yeah. It was super easy to understand. I shouldn't say the author did a good job trying to do a little bit of the jargon, right? They are actually talking Western, and I'm glad it wasn't too much where I'm just like, oh God, what's sarsaparilla mean? Oh, there are a dozen tumbleweeds, but it was enough to be like, oh yeah, okay, we're still in a Western. It definitely got the Western feel, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So would I read more of it? Actually, I would. I did think it was really interesting. I'm curious where they're going with this. Obviously I've read the description, so I know okay, son's gonna have to hunt down the dad, but it also doesn't make a whole lot of sense because the dad is just he's a terrible person, but he's been shooting people up for a long time, and his son is just not that way. Yeah, he's buff or whatever, and he's got plenty of motivation to want to go after his dad and so on, but I don't know how he's gonna have the skills and qualities to do it. Who knows? I guess we'll find out. And that is a wrap for Sins of the Father. If you like this kind of stuff, consider subscribing or at least watching another one of my videos that YouTube recommends. If you would like to have your story reviewed, just hit me up on Discord. Information is in the description below. Everything's just basically on my website. So thanks a bunch. Peace.